I was in foster care because my mom had a drug problem. She was on drugs since I could probably ever remember, since I was a little girl. It came to a point where she was pretty much not able to take care of my sister and myself that well. One day, the state just came into our home, and that was it. They took us from my mother. It was literally 2 days after I turned 11. It was a Friday night. My sister and I were playing with our makeshift dollhouse. And my mom, she had come in our room and she was like, pack a bag. You're gonna go to your aunt's house for the weekend. And it was really strange. Like, she never did that before. Come to us so late in the night. And she was crying. So we got a few things, and when we went outside, when we went to the living room, you know, there was a woman who I later found out was a caseworker, and some gentlemen. We went downstairs and they put us in a van. We were fortunate enough to be in family care, and that meant that we could go to we had a relative who was willing to take us in. We typically would stay with our aunt just naturally, for like weekends and sometimes summertime. So that we were not a stranger to that. So that is what we did. My mom, she was on drugs for a while. She was in and out of, I guess, rehab or drug treatment programs, AA. She was in and out. I think she had reached like her lowest point at that time. It's like drug wise, as far as, you know, maintaining herself and stuff like that. So in the beginning, we would have like scheduled visits with her. Some she would come to and sometimes she wouldn't. I remember crying a lot, especially in the beginning. I cried a lot, like, because I was happy to see her. But when it was time to go, when it was time for my mom to leave, I would cry. I just remembered it would just break me every time she had to leave, because, you know, I didn't know when I would see her again. I didn't know if I would see her again. I would think about the future, kids, husband, college, and wonder if she would be there or be around to share those days with me. So when I saw my mom, I would embrace her. I was so happy. I think I was more welcoming and understanding, or seemingly understanding to her. But I was young, so, well, I just wanted my mother. So I believe it was 1997 when she had told us that, you know, she was getting clean again, or on the road to recovery. And I remember being excited, but just thinking, I've heard this before. Even when she approached a year, which was unheard of for her, I was still apprehensive to celebrate too much, or to get my hopes up too much. When she reached 2 years, you know, I was still like, okay, this is good, but I still had that fear that one day I would get a call just saying that, you know, she had gone back out into the streets. When my mother got clean and stayed that way for some time, it was definitely an answer to my prayers. It was something that I had been praying for since I was a little girl, or a young girl. And there came a point where, I guess, I don't know, maybe I was holding on to stuff all those years, just so focused on wanting my mother, not realizing what that had done to me. I noticed that I had become very resentful for her, even though she was clean at that point. I remember just being so angry. Like, I would be at her house and she would say stuff to me, And it was very confusing because I was very happy to be there and I was very happy that she was clean. But at the same time, if she would, say something to me, my brain would think, but you weren't there. We didn't get to organically develop as mother and daughter after a certain point. And then I felt like when we did get reacquainted, I had to just automatically have certain feelings or certain levels of respect or understanding to her that I didn't get to naturally develop. So it was confusing for me because I'm like, how, I know she's my mother, but I don't know how to really be her daughter. Like, I don't know how to love, honor, and respect her in that way. Because part of me was still like, but you were on drugs and you got us taken away from you, I knew that the way that I responded to my mother was not a very Christian way to be. Especially when I would leave, I would just be like, Tika, like, why were you acting like that? And so I would pray and I'm like, God, I don't want to act like this. Like, why am I acting like this to my mom? And I remember I always just be like, Lord, can you change her? Can you help her to see this? And can you help her to see that? And I remember nothing happened. Every time I saw her, I was still angry. I was still resentful. I was still talking to her however I wanted to talk to her. And then I don't know what happened, but I got like an epiphany for myself. Like, maybe I need to start praying for myself or, asking God to work on me. And once I started doing that is when I noticed I guess maybe even, I don't know if she changed. Maybe I was the one that changed. I just noticed our relationship got a lot better. Things that would naturally frustrate me were not a problem anymore. Like, God had just opened my heart to have the capacity to love her the way that I wanted. Like, I really wanted to love her, but I just had so many things in me that my first response was not love. So once I started talking to God and just asking him to help me, I noticed that I started to become a different person. I noticed that I started to embrace what I had prayed for all that time, because it was crazy. Like, I had prayed for something, and when I got it, it's like I was pushing it away. If I had to sum up what God has been to me during that time, I would say that he has been a keeper. Like, God, he just helped me through every stage of my life of not having a mother. Like, he taught me. He would send people, like friends, parents, people from church, even my family members, to do what my mom couldn't do for me. He always had someone like in the wings to help me somehow, be it financially, emotionally, educationally. Like, he always had set me up along the way. I believe that prayer was so essential to my situation, because I started to pray right after I was taken out of my mother's custody. I wasn't too sure what would happen, what the outcome would be. Today, my mom, thank God she's still around, and she got to see me graduate from college. She got to see me walk down the aisle. She got to see me have children. And those are all things that I used to be very fearful of. I just said, God, do you exist? And if so, let me know. And I would encourage anybody going through a situation like that to just ask him, like, acknowledge him and ask him to lead you, to walk alongside you, to help you. Take it to God.